Breaking news. An arrest warrant has been issued for Oscar Keaton in connection with a hit and run that killed 15-year-old Nathan Lloyd. Do you have anything to say?
Listen carefully, and you do exactly what I say.
My prayers go out to Nathan's parents.
Billionaire flees a crime scene, and his attorney happens to be a guest on our show tonight.
This is just one giant misunderstanding.
Don't let him off the hook.
What kind of misunderstanding leads a client to evade law enforcement?
How could you ambush me?
It's breaking news. I'm doing my job. That could not have gone better.
I got to plant the seeds of doubt before the country rushed to judgment. I owe you.
Every morning show will be running our clips.
If you ever do that to me again, I will come after you.
If I take the night off, the show takes the night off.
There's only so many times you can say no comment before you look guilty. You ready to do this?
Where were you the night of the accident?
You set me up.
That went great. Even better than we rehearsed.
You know I didn't do this.
What aren't you telling me?
Security footage was captured 20 minutes prior to the hit and run.
What's it gonna take to keep that video off your show?
An exclusive. By Friday.
Tonight, you will go on Louise Herrick Live, and you will tell the world what you just told me.
You concocted some ridiculous defense, and I almost fell for it?
You're possible.
I am so possible. We have a deal.
To never lie to each other.
Never lie to each other.
Measure, I can do this.
You're a tough-ass bitch. You can do anything.
They create heroes and monsters, victims and villains, tell the world when to pay attention and what really matters.
Wherever you're hiding, drugs, sex, we don't care.
I'm about to go live. Do you have a comment?
Hi, everybody.
Congrats on the show.
Thank you. It's good to be working.
I don't think you've ever had that issue, though, have you?
Oh, I have had that issue. Ask
Oh,
my dad. He paid
stop.
my rent when I was living in Flatbush.
Come on now. Rescue Me, The Devil Wears Prada,
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan. I think you've had a pretty...
I've been blessed. No, absolutely, I've been blessed. I've always paid my bills acting ever since I got out of school. But there were times, when this is when I have been able to pay my bills. I've done it with acting. But yeah, my dad had to pay my rent a little bit.
Well, you know what? We've all been in that situation.
Yeah.
But tell me about Notorious and what drew you to playing this lawyer who is based on the very notorious Mark Geragos.
Yeah, the very notorious, infamous Mark Geragos. There was really no downside. ABC is a great network. I think that they're doing a lot of progressive things in terms of their casting. They got a lot of people of color and non-traditional casting happening on their show, and rather on their network. And it was the best pilot script that I read this season. And I read a few, and I had several offers. I was blessed to have several choices, actually, instead of just having to just take whatever happened to come my way, only being one thing. And yeah, I mean, there was just, as I said, there was no downside. Josh Berman, as the captain of our ship, a fantastic network, a great script, and as you can see now, a wonderful co-star and a fantastic cast. So why not say
Why
yes?
not, right?
Why not say yes?
And yeah, I was reading that after Graceland went off the air, in which you played an agent, that you were the hot commodity in Hollywood come pilot season.
Wow, that might be
That was according to Variety.
Be an overstatement, but I was a hot enough commodity to get a job, so that's good.
So you get the script, you're smitten with the script. What do you do next? How do you get into the head of someone like Mark Geragos, who, for those of you who don't know him, defended Winona Ryder during her shoplifting trial?
Scott Peterson.
Scott Peterson, Linda...
Ronstadt? I don't know.
No, during Whitewater.
Linda Ronstadt, what were you doing in that? Yeah.
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown right now, yeah. I'm sorry, what was the question?
How do you get into his head?
How do we get in the head? Excuse me, a lot of it is actually on the page, believe it or not. I think that Piper actually has in terms of degree of difficulty for acting, the bar is set higher for her. She has to, we have two different stages. We have a stage, they're right next to each other, and they're just big warehouses, basically. And we have one stage where the legal world exists, and that's Jake's world. And then we have another stage where the world of Louise Herrick Live, which is the TV show that Piper's character, Julia George, is in charge of. And She has a control booth where her character lives, while there is a soundstage outside of that where the interviews are taking place. She has to know there are simultaneous conversations happening. She's got people talking to her in her ear. She's also acting, hitting her mark. I joke with her all the time. It's like, I'm like, Piper, you're the Tom Brady of stage 12. She quarterbacks that thing. It's not even a joke. I mean, I'm just like, wow. So, you know, for her, I think that there is more, you know, the prerequisite research was just, you know, a larger stack of books and stuff that she had to read. She has access to Wendy Walker, of course. Wendy Walker and also Mark Geragos are both executive producers on the show. And Wendy's there every day. Mark is usually in court, you know, at trial, arriving at mansions with his clients with their hands in the air or whatever, you know, like trying to, like, you know, ameliorate situations or, you know, de-intensify things. I've had access to him, but not as much as I would have liked. However, again, a lot of it is on the page. For me, a lot of it is on the page. And it's not technically, again, the degree of difficulty is lower. So.
And one of the things that I really enjoyed about your performance is that you make him very human. Like, it would be very easy to demonize someone like that who really plays to the headlines and really, in some ways exploits his clients' mishaps, shall we say. And I feel like you really give him a depth and a humanity.
I mean, you have to, when you play a character, you have to be on your character's side. You can't, you know, if I were to play him with, you know, the twist of the mustache and he's so evil kind of thing, I mean, it wouldn't
Your
come
little
across.
white cat.
Yeah, exactly. As I'm petting my white cat, $1 billion. You know, unless it's a Mike Myers film, that's just not going to go over well. So no, you have to be sympathetic to your character, and you have to play them. I mean, he's like we all are. He's a boiling pot of contradiction. Jake Gregorian is a person who is a man who means well. I don't think he sees himself as an anti-hero. I don't think he even is one. To look at it from, you know, objectively, a third-party perspective, I don't think that one would call him necessarily an anti-hero. And you know, he's a lawyer. People have opinions about lawyers. Some of them are not so great. He's not an ambulance chaser, though. I think he really believes it is important to Jake to defend people that he actually believes, you know, are innocent. So I hear what you're saying, but I kind of didn't see. I didn't see any other option. You want to bring a humanity to every role that you play, and if not make the character sympathetic, at least make it, you know, make them understandable from a human, you know, a human standpoint, a human level.
So if he went up against Miranda Priestley, who would win?
Miranda Priestley.
I mean,
you know, I mean, if she ever got in trouble, he'd love to be her defense attorney. But I mean, I don't think Jake would try to go up against Miranda Priestley any day of the week.
what do you think, looking back on your career, and you were on Broadway and Take Me Out, I mean, you've done so much. What do you think was the turning point for you when you actually realized, going back to what you initially said, that you could pay the rent doing this?
I don't know, because I mean, actors are always like, I'm not going to show you guys, but we're such neurotic freaks. I bite my fingernails. I'm kind of smoking. I'm like, we never know if we're going to work again all the time. And I don't think it's not that I have gotten to a point where I'm now like, okay, you know, like I know now I'm going to be okay and I'm always going to be working. Every time one job ends, you don't know what's going to happen. At the beginning of this pilot season, I had no idea whether or not I was going to have offers on the table or not. And for the first time in my career, and I don't say this with any ego whatsoever, I got a call. I'm in my apartment in South Florida. I haven't had a haircut in about a month and a half. I'm sitting there like, should I go out to LA? Should I go to New York? Should I just sit here with my dog? And I get, my agent calls me, he's like, you got 5 offers. I was like, 5 auditions? 5 offers. And I was just like, wow, man, I mean, God, that never happened to me before in my entire life. And, you know, it's also, there's never like, you know, people always talk, well, what was your big break? And I didn't really have a big break. I think I had a series of successive breaks that, like, to go back to, I did a play on Broadway called Take Me Out. Around that time, I did 1 episode of Law & Order. I did 1 episode of Sex and the City. I had been on Law & Order for, you know, a couple of seasons. And it's the kind of thing where I picture the acting industry kind of like a wedding cake, and at the top is the bride and the groom, or the bride and the bride, or the groom and the groom, depends, right? And at the bottom, you got all these people that say that they are acting. Some of them are just doing the daily acting grind. Some of them are in conservatory training programs. Some of them are serving pizza, coffee, donuts, whatever, while they're trying to act. you get one job here, you get one job there. People start to kind of like, there's this illusion that they're seeing you kind of like everywhere. Oh, that's that guy from that thing. And that builds a little bit of heat, and it's a confluence of these circumstances, which then leads the casting community to go, oh, okay, well now we're going to invite you to the invitation-only auditions, which I had absolutely no idea even existed, for Sex and the City. And so that's me and only 6 guys from the get-go. They invite 6 people to audition, so your chances 1 out of 6 instead of 1 out of 6,000 right there have improved. Now you are on that next tier of the wedding cake. And if you book that job, and then you happen to get, I don't know, a role in a movie called The Devil Wears Prada or what have you, got now these 2 things going on, that now puts you in an even more rarefied atmosphere where you get more opportunities, or opportunities that a lot of people that don't come to most actors. And so it's kind of been that. I mean, I believe in my talent. I think I'm talented. I think I'm gifted. I don't think I'm any more talented necessarily than some other person out there right now that is hustling and just is not getting the opportunity. I just have been fortunate. You know what I mean? I've been fortunate, and I have worked hard.
You've worked hard. You studied at Tisch. I mean,
Yeah.
You put in the effort.
Yeah, but hard work will beat talent when talent does not work hard. I mean, that's not me. It's a cliche because it's true. You know what I mean? I've seen so many instances where people in various fields who might not necessarily have as much talent as other people who might be resting on their laurels because they know they're talented will excel and they will ascend, while those with talent and without the work ethic will fall by the wayside. Yeah, and I think I probably fall somewhere in between. So
How did you apply everything that you've learned thus far from Rescue Me, from The Dark Knight, to this performance?
I didn't try to. I just kind of think, like, right now, we are the cresting wave of everything that has given rise to where we're at in our lives, right? And that's true of us individually as well as a collective, as a species. So it's not like I'm like thinking, I got to try to apply everything that I have gone through. I am right now the sum total of every experience I have been through that has brought me to this moment, speaking with you right now, sitting in this chair at this moment. And I couldn't not be that even if I wanted to. So, I mean, you try to avail yourself and make sure that you open yourself to the reality of that, and just trust that it's there. You know what I mean? I mean, it just is what it is. You know, I could only prevent that from showing itself in my performance if I'm trapped in psychological time, if I'm not present in the moment, if I'm worried about something that has not happened, or thinking about something that's already gone, and not letting what's happening. You know, I just feel the chair underneath my booty. I can feel my foot in my boot. I can taste the orange juice. You know what I'm saying? Now. You know what I'm saying? So, that's that.
Now, speaking of booties, the show has some pretty hot sex scenes.
Yeah, I'm not in any of them, thank God. I'm done with that, man. I took my clothes off on Broadway, homie. I'm done. I was jangle-hanging all over the place in front of strangers. I'm like, I'm good now. I'm good. I'm 50, and I can kick, and I can keep my clothes on. Having said that, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna try to.
I was about to say, like, you know, in the first episode, Piper's character goes through a.
She gets it in.
I mean, she, has a revelation of sorts about her boyfriend.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering where this is going to go.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, in terms of that situation, that relationship that you're talking about, you know, time will tell. Between my character and hers, I think that the show would be best served by teasing out and economizing whatever romantic tension may exist between our characters, because once you go there, you can't go back. And when people want to see that, you know, it's what people want to see, but they kind of don't see, that keeps them wanting to see that thing. You know, what was it on Friends, Ross and
Rachel?
Yeah, it's like, oh God, are they getting back together? And you know what I'm saying? And kept people tuning in. And so I think, you know, also in the world of Notorious, the fact is that Jake and Julia enjoy such they get mutual benefit professionally to such a degree, you know what I mean? So much of that professional benefit comes to them both, that I think that they would both be loath to risk the professional benefit of their relationship for a romance that, you know, might work and might not work, and if it doesn't work, there goes, you know, there goes what was so great about the friendship, you know? So we don't have to I don't think that the producers of the show need to therefore then justify why these two have not hopped into bed together, immediately. But you guys can watch Ryan Guzman take his shirt off all day. And I'll be like, yo, Ryan, get it, dog. Ah! Yeah. Amy Teagarden, he's got some very beautiful young actors on the show. And, when you're young in this business, that's kind of a lot of times that's what they want you to do. They want you to beefcake it out or whatever. I'm done with that.
No, you're the lawyer.
I'm the lawyer. I wear suits in the show. And I have good proportions, so I can hide my fat.
What do you think drives Jake?
What drives Jake? I believe that he has like I myself have this idea of the things that drive me, which are probably romanticized and overblown. And I'm sure that in a certain sense, he's not quite totally objective about what really drives him. I think it's a sense of justice. I think that it's important to Jake to push people to prove their case against somebody. Well, let's say he is defending somebody that, from all intents and purposes, might be guilty. Let's say you're defending. Let's say you are a defense attorney and you're defending a drug cartel. You know that these people have had people killed. You know that they have shipped drugs in and out of the country, and the government is now bringing a suit against them. The thing is that once they can prove it against the worst of the worst, then all of a sudden it's like, where is the line? You got to make them prove the case. Otherwise, what is the point of having a justice system? And you can think whatever you want about a lawyer who is willing to defend people who clearly may or may not have been implicated or directly responsible for horrible things. But without that, then the system of American justice as we know it, even in theory, whether or not it actually works out that way or not, I personally think that you get the justice that you can pay for. That's what I think of the justice system.
Agree with you, yeah.
But I mean, in terms of Jake and what he thinks about himself, I think it's kind of that. I think that's where his the idealism which inspired him to become what he now is. Also, you have to think about the fact that without any commentary, it's myself and J. August Richards, who are black men who have risen to the highest level of success in a profession of law in Los Angeles, which it would not be. That's a whole story in and of itself. Not to mention the fact we're brothers. If you look at us, we don't look nothing alike. Plus, we have an Armenian last name. That's all going to, that will all be explained. But I mean, the struggle and what we have gone through, in order to get where we've gotten. Yeah, Jake has a lot of them. He thinks a lot. He has a lot of reasons, that inspire him to continue moving forward. And if I talk about too many of them, I'll be giving spoilers, and then I will have to kill you and myself.
Yes, which we don't want to have happen. Well, how would you fare as a lawyer?
As a lawyer, I'd be horrible. I'd be horrible.
What do you mean? You're so eloquent.
Thank you, but I mean, you gotta know the law. I'd be like, he didn't do it. I would try. You can't charm a jury into.
Can't you just memorize a few phrases and just throw them out?
You know what? Why not? I'm gonna try that. Yeah, habeas corpus and mea culpa, and he's innocent. My bad. So, I think I'd be a horrible lawyer. I like to read, and I think that if it hadn't been for, I don't think I have any other applicable skill in life other than what it is that I do. But I guess if I had to choose something else, maybe I would have tried law. But I don't know if I've been very good at it. I don't think so.
At least now you get to sort of try.
I could pretend to be good at it. I don't think I'd be a great firefighter, but I could pretend to be one. I would be a horrible fashion designer, but I can pretend to be one. So.
Well, or a firefighter for that matter.
Or a firefighter, yeah.
And to our audience, please.
As a man of color, have you ever felt that you were being typecast into a particular kind of role?
You know what? I think that my attitude about my ambiguous non-whiteness since before I got out of NYU has always been to play it as a strength. If anything, what I think it gives me is a wider spectrum of castability. I should be able to play Latino. I should be able to play light-skinned African American. I should be able to just be somebody who is who they are without any comment being made on what their ethnicity is. In Graceland, we have 3 seasons of Graceland. They never mentioned what Paul Briggs's ethnicity was. He just was who he was, and he wasn't white, and so what? You know what I'm saying, kind of thing? So I have chosen always to look at it as a strength, and it was important to me when I was interviewing agents It's funny to me because when you first start meeting agents, it's like you just hope that they'll take you. But really, actually, I'm interviewing you because you're gonna be getting paid off of the work that I do, kind of thing. It was important to me that they understood. I wanted to know, how are you going to try to market me? How are you going to try to get me into a room with people who looked at a script, then looked up into the air and thought of 15 faces for the role of Paul Briggs, and none of them looked anything like me. That is what happened, by the way. And then my representatives were like, what about Daniel Sunjata as Paul Briggs? And they were like, no, actually, you know what? Okay, maybe. And they got me in the room, and I auditioned, and Jeff Easton said, as soon as we saw your audition, Daniel, you were Paul. But they would never have even, it just was, it's not like, that's the tricky thing about institutionalized racism, is that it's not intended. It's not like they're like, we're not gonna cast you young man, or you young lady. It's just that they just doesn't even occur to them because they were just thinking long hair, blonde hair, blue-eyed, Matt McConaughey-esque beach bum guy, that's Paul Briggs. And they saw me and they were like, nothing like what was in the pilot, at least not in terms of what the guy was supposed to look like, but that doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, right, that doesn't fucking matter. Right?
Next question, please.
Hi, Daniel.
Hey.
Thank you for being here. So,
you from LA?
Yeah.
Okay. My man.
So,
it's just a wild guess.
What are your Thanks, appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
what are your daily regimens for you act or be on camera? Like, what are your daily regimens, and what do you do to prepare?
To prepare, what I do is, if you guys look in the back, there's a beautiful Senegalese man right there with a camera. He's standing back there. His name is Kevin. Kevin, put your hand in the air, brother. My man. Now, Kevin is and I need this, and this is going to sound so pretentious, but Kevin's the first personal assistant I've ever had, and trust me, I could have used one many years ago. But what I do is I show up to set, I try to get there on time. I usually fail. Kevin, he knows I like, some strawberries and some pineapple and some water, whatever. He gets that for me. We sit down. He's like, okay, man. We start going through the day's work. He starts helping me get these lines in my head. I might have looked at the work the night before. The thing is, once you get into the grind of shooting a television show, you are making the donut so fast. It's very hard to work a 14-hour day, go home, and then spend another 3 or 4 hours prepping the next day's work. So, I get to work. I make sure that I'm prepared for when I step on that set, and then I bring my text with me to work to set during the rehearsal, and then after they set up the lights and everything, when you come back to shoot it, I still have it with me. And you just have to constantly be trying to make the scene better. Not necessarily make yourself look better within the context of the scene, but what is the event of the scene, and how can we make this as real as we possibly can and make it as good as we possibly can, and do it in a timely fashion. Because when you're working for a machine like ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, USA, FX, they don't really have a whole lot of time. They want to make sure that you feel like you've had the time that you need, but they don't have all day. So you got to do that, and you got to do it relatively quickly. So, it's just, you try to show up, be professional, be prepared, and constantly be trying to make it better. Sometimes what that means is, you might say, you know what? I don't think my character should even say this. Can we get rid of this line and get rid of that line? You know what I mean? You might actually willingly take a couple hits, not have as much to say in the context of a scene. Or I don't think my character should be powerful at the end of the scene. I think my character should be like face all on the ground, pathetic, and just like, distant, insulted, and nobody to blame but himself, kind of thing. Whatever it takes to make it better. So I know that's not really what you were asking, but that's my general approach. I don't have like a regimen like I wake up, six egg white omelet, blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Meditate for an hour.
Meditate for an hour.
Chant.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't do that. So.
You should come up with that answer though. Just be
What'd
like,
you say?
I have exactly one ray of light that comes into my house.
Yes.
I stare at this ray of light as I eat my 1 egg omelet.
As I eat my 1 egg omelet, I hold my amethyst crystals, and that's actually not a bad idea.
And last question, please.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey.
What was the tougher character to bring to life, Jake on Notorious or Briggs in Graceland?
What was what?
Tougher character to bring to life.
Well, I'm still in the process of bringing Jake to life, but I would have to say Briggs. I'd have to say Briggs because I've never played a character as complex as Paul Briggs before, and I wish that the show had been, USA, NBC Universal, please don't take this the wrong way. I guess, I'm not sorry that it was on that network. I just wish that we had had more creative latitude to just be gritty as possible, to just go as dark as we possibly could, and not be held back by the constraints of, is this going to pass the censors? Is this okay? Can they put this word and that word after one another, kind of thing? You know, one of the things I loved about working on Rescue Me is that Dennis would come to set, and this was regularly. We just got to the point where we're just like, I mean, we knew our lines, but he'd come to set and be like, okay, fuck that. So I'm going to say a black joke. I'm going to make a black joke. Dan, you're going to do this. Dan, we're going to have a Puerto Rican come in, and that's going to happen. And then we would just like go with it, and we could improvise. We could ad-lib anything. We could say, as long as you didn't drop certain words and then certain words next to one another, you could just do whatever. Now, all of our ideas were not good. A lot of mine sucked. And Dennis would let you know. I'd be like, that sucks. You know what I mean? We're not going to do that. But none of us felt like we were, like we could not offer something. You know what I mean? The emotional intelligence that we bring to the set as an actor was respected. And sometimes writers are so precious about what they've written, they think it's actually all on the page. Well, no, because an actor knows sometimes that those words don't feel right in my mouth. It's not that I'm not trying to memorize this. The reason why every time I come to this line I can't remember it is because that's not how people talk, and that's not what somebody would say in this particular situation. And it'll actually be something like this or something like that. With Briggs, I think that it would have been such a more, the expression of what Paul Briggs could have been so much more colorful, textured, and multidimensional had we had far more creative freedom to just go to town, you know what I'm saying? But so, however, having said that, you do need to be able as an actor to find freedom within form, you know? You can't just pour water on a table in front of somebody. You have to put it in a glass so that they can drink it. So, you know, it's just that the glass was very narrow. You know what I mean? It was like sipping out of a glass straw sometimes, which is, yeah, I wish I could go back and change that. But yeah, Paul Briggs was a tougher character to bring to life.
But you have plenty of latitude with Jake, right?
Some. I mean, actually, I have latitude with Jake, but not quite that much. Actually, I'd say maybe less. Because it's primetime TV. This is a network show. Yeah, I mean, FX, USA. Yeah, I mean, the language we could use on Rescue Me was just, you know, I mean, there were not very many things we couldn't do or say on that show. USA, a little bit tighter, and ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. Yeah, I mean, like it's the nature of the beast. This isn't necessarily a knock against my employers, who I love very much, and I'm so happy to be working. But you know what I mean. But it's, you know what I mean. I can't just curse because it feels right in the scene. They'd be like, you can't say that on ABC. You know what I mean. So, yeah.
Well, and the show premieres?
The show premieres September 22nd at 9 p.m. We hope that we can establish, first of all, thank you, Shonda Rhimes, for sharing your Thursday night with our show. I mean, you know, and thank you, Kerry Washington, for fortuitously happening to get pregnant at a time where she's giving birth literally and metaphorically, because you know the space that they are allowing us to hold for them is the prime real estate. It's Thursday nights at 9 o'clock. I mean, I remember back in the day when you had to be in front of the TV in order to see something, or otherwise you just missed that shit. And that you know what I mean? This is the time. Thursday nights at 9. So, I mean, man, you know, I'm super happy. Thank you. Yeah, much love to Carrie. Thank you, Shonda Rhimes. And, you know, thank you, ABC. And we're just going to try to make a hit, entertain some people, and, you know, keep it moving.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Yeah. God bless you guys.